What's going on, guys? Andy here, and in this video we're looking at the first scale that everybody needs to learn on piano. Now, we usually look at stuff that's way more fun that we can do on piano and keyboards on this Andy Piano YouTube channel. However, this is so essential. It gives you all the fundamental skills to be able to learn any song that you want to go on to learn on piano, and it really is the best way to look at technique and assess a few things, and it is really easy. I promise you, everyone watching this video can follow this now, and it's a great place to start, even as one of your first ever piano lessons. And it all starts with being able to find what we call middle C. This is the C note in exactly the middle of your piano or keyboard at home, and it is where our musical alphabet basically starts. It's a strange thing. We have A here, which would be the start of the alphabet. However, the musical alphabet starts on C, and the reason it starts on C is because when we start on C, we can play all the white keys on the piano, none of the black ones, and therefore we're playing all the naturals, and we have what we call no sharps or flats. So none of the black keys when our scale or even our song or melody starts on C. So the idea here is, all I want us to start off with is place each of our fingers on each note just above and including that middle C, and we're going to do this with the right hand, okay? So thumb on the C, and then you can see that the other fingers are just resting on, and they are actually touching all the other keys, which sounds a bit crazy when we play them all together. And all we want to get used to is just sitting at the piano really naturally, shoulders nice and low. Try not to hunch over too much like this, because it's such a fine amount of skill and it needs that attention. But you can do that while being relaxed. Otherwise, we can't do this for a long time if we're tense. And all we're going to do is start off by pressing down each key evenly and moving back down. Now, when we stay in this position, we can do that without moving our hand at all, which is the idea of having the fingers sort of touching or just hovering over slightly each of those keys. But I would highly advise trying to do this, especially just as the first time you're doing this. Try and keep the fingers touching the keys at all times, but then just pressing down each one just to get them used to this fine motor skill that we're training. Now, if that's not happening for you at all, it's totally fine. You can lift them slightly and kind of have them more like this if you want. So there's a bit more of a rise there. Hopefully you can see that. Kind of crazy having all these graphics on screen and all this tech in my filming room. Still getting used to it, but it's good fun. And of course, we can do that same thing with the left hand, but we would commonly do that an octave lower, starting from the C, which is here, if we do that with the left hand. So this may seem super simple at this time, but if we're not getting all of these notes to sound nice and even, by which I mean even in loudness, so in volume, if some of them are really light and then some of them are quiet and some are loud, that's not going to sound good. And also if they're sounding really kind of random, kind of like this, that's not what we're looking for at all. We want that smooth motion, which comes from being relaxed from the shoulder all the way down the arm, and at the moment just doing the fingers moving on their own and keeping everything else nice and still. So that is where I would start off with this C major scale, absolutely, and we will cover how to do this together, but we'll cover that in 1 second, because far more important is how we're actually going to move up and down these keys. How we're going to move out of just either playing these 5 keys or playing chords such as the C major chord like this. And the way that we do it is with this little stepping back and a little roll of the thumb. The thumb is going to go underneath and inside the palm of your hand just slightly like this. And with the right hand, and this is very specific and has to be done, it has to go thumb, 1, 2, thumb goes under, and then the thumb goes from the F. And what that allows us to do is then play the rest of the notes all the way up to the octave of C without having to either run out of fingers, and we actually finish just there. And that has to be, it's so really fundamental, really important. And once we get that technique, either going up or down the keyboard is effortless and easy, and suddenly the whole keyboard opens up to us. And if we wanted to do that exact same idea but further up the keyboard, we would do it in exactly the same fashion, with that stepping under of the thumb, both going up, ascending, and descending as well. And it is all comes down to mastering this technique of getting used to playing 3 notes, thumb going under. And I kind of see it like a dancer kind of stepping back behind, left foot behind the right foot or something like that, kind of Shazam. That's what I kind of think of when I'm doing that and when I'm teaching it, just to see that step back. Woo, there he is. So just try and keep those fingers basically as still as possible. But whether we're going up or coming back down, the thumb hits the F note, which is the 4th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it always comes back to that middle finger. And that is how we would play the major scale in the right hand in that fashion. Now, here's a weird thing. When we do that in the left hand, the thumb goes at a different time. And this can seem confusing at first, but it's with good reason. So when we've got used to doing just the first 5 notes, and they're sounding even, and they're sounding good, and we're getting just a little bit more control of these fingers, because of the nature of what we've done here, of where we're starting and the position of our fingers, we're going to go all the way to the thumb, and then cross over in the same fashion that we did before, but it's actually the middle finger's going to go over, and it will be on the way back down that it will come back. So we play all 5 notes with the left hand, then cross the middle finger over the top. That is the technique. Let me do that again. Coming back down. Step it behind, Shazam, there we go. And that happens so that the thumb always hits the G in the left hand. In the right hand, the thumb always hits the F. In a way, this is quite useful, because when we do them together, one happens and then the other happens. So you can kind of have a glance at one and then have a glance at the other, which is how we can do the 2 together a little bit easier. Recap over that, so important. On the right hand with the C major scale, the thumb is going to go underneath and after the first 3 notes, and then hit the F, and then finishes off on the little finger. It comes down in exactly the same fashion, but it's that middle finger that crosses over. And when we're practicing that, we want to keep it as even as possible in timing and also in volume. With the left hand, we go all the way through every finger, middle finger goes over. Okay, same again. Middle finger, and then we don't run out. Thumb steps behind on the G. Okay, and now, if you can do all that, we can look at doing the 2 together. But I wouldn't do the 2 together personally until you've looked at both of those things, because I want everything firing on this hand, everything firing on this hand, and then we'll try and do the 2 together. How can we possibly do that? We'll start by them doing exactly the same thing in both hands and just going back to doing it just in one position. The going underneath of the thumb, going over with the fingers, that really confuses things, and we need this absolutely solid before we move forward from it. And even just practicing this will bring on your playing when you're trying songs or melodies so much, because we're kind of learning our ABC of music, or I should say our C, D, E, F, G of music. So when we come to do these together, but for the whole octave, the weird thing is that they go underneath at different times. fairly straightforward if you've drilled them separately. If you can do this first of all. And then to start with, hopefully we can focus more on the right hand and look at this step back. And then when we get to the thumb on this hand, my gaze moves to the left hand. So right, the gaze moves to the left hand, and it's that middle finger comes over, and it would be the opposite for coming back down. I can absolutely imagine people watching this, giving it a go for the first time, and your fingers completely being in knots, and you're feeling like you can't do it. But trust me, if you work through each of those exercises in that order, in that exact same thing, even just with C, even just with the white notes, this will bring on your playing so much, and you may even wish to be sticking mainly to these white keys for around 6 months of your playing. When we learn the C major scale, that opens up so many songs for us, and there's so much that you can do with them, that it is an idea for many people, especially people that are learning, self-learning essentially online, that don't have a teacher. Get used to those white keys and just using the black keys to navigate where you are. To know where this C note is, we see that pattern of 2 and 3 and 2 and 3. That's where we go. And from there, that will really give the average beginner piano player so much more ammunition to go on and learn other songs, and we can take this forward from there. But that's where we're going to leave this tutorial. I'll leave some helpful links on the screen for you to get more info about this sort of stuff and where to go next. But my name's Andy. Please subscribe to this Andy Piano YouTube channel if this is something that you've enjoyed, and I hope you'll let me know your lesson requests, song requests. What do you want to see from this channel? Let me know in the comments below, and I hope to see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.